Franklin, your narrator for today's event. Today, we pay special tribute to Master Sergeant Joshua D. White on the occasion of his retirement from the United States Air Force after more than 20 years of dedicated service. The presiding official for today's ceremony is Major Kate Hewlett, Branch Chief, Air Commando Development, Air Force Special Operations Command, Pearlbridge Field, Florida. The military retirement ceremony is one of the oldest traditions in the military, which honors its service members and their families as they culminate a distinguished career serving their country. The retirement ceremony is designed to reflect upon and celebrate the journey, service, and achievements of the military family with all of their loved ones and teams who empowered their freedom to serve. Today's ceremony is keeping with those customs and traditions as we celebrate Master Sergeant Josh White, his wife Angie, and their children Summer and Phoenix. Throughout the ceremony, you will be given cues to rise and be seated at the appropriate times. As a reminder, during the singing of our national anthem, military members in uniform should stand at attention, and our civilian guests should stand and place their right hand over their heart. At this time, please place all cell phones on silent mode for the duration of the ceremony. We will begin shortly. And by shortly, I mean now. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the presentation of the colors of the Pearlbridge Field Honor Guard, the singing of our national anthem by Glory Land, and the invocation to be delivered by Mr. Trey McGuire.
Pray with me today, please. God, we do thank you for this time. Thank you for this brief moment where we can stop, where we can just pause and honor and celebrate a life and a service, a commitment well done. God, we're thankful for Josh. Thank you for his family. Thank you for his children. Thank you for his parents and in-laws and each and every person today who has helped make him the man that he is, the leader that he is, the influencer that he is, the friend that he is. And God, we pray that as he steps into the next chapters of life, God, that you will continue to use him like you have already, and that this will just be preparation for the difference that he is going to make in the lives of people that he don't even realize yet. So be with us as we go through this ceremony. Walk with us as we give honor where it is due, and as we laugh and probably cry, we ask that you will give glory where it's due. In your name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I'd like to thank the Pearlwood Field Honor Guard for the presentation of the colors. Thanks also to Gloryland, if they can hear me. I'm not sure where they are. This is the 68th time I've been honored to narrate an Air Force retirement ceremony. I've never seen a group do it. That was amazing. I hope someone got a picture that I can get it later. The harmonies, wonderful. It reminded me when I played trombone in high school. And thank you, Mr. McGuire, for those inspirational words. That's one of the most important. Their children, Summer and Phoenix. His mother, Barbara Alexander. And that is Smile, MNF. His father and stepmother, Bill and Kathy White. His siblings, Jim, Krista, Brent, Ben, and Sean. We would also like to welcome two distinguished guests in attendance today. The Deputy Director, Air Force Integrated Resilience, Colonel Mike Manning. And the Commander, 96th Operational Medical Readiness Squadron, Colonel Brett Link. This is a very special occasion. Everyone here with us today, and to those of you who are joining us online, thank you for your support. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome today's presiding official, Major Hewlett.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. When Josh asked me to be his presiding official, I told him that I was probably the worst possible choice because I would be a complete disaster and cry through the entire ceremony. It's okay, I came prepared. I gave him every opportunity to replace me, to include right before we walked up here. He declined. So it looks like I'm doing this, and you're stuck with me. So I apologize in advance. I am going to cry through this whole thing. I may or may not have taken a double dose of Wellbutrin this morning to prepare, allegedly. So we'll see how this goes. Dr. Belobi, you did not hear that. I did not. As I struggle through this speech and the emotions these words bring up, my tears will serve as a visual representation of the feelings you have inspired, honored, celebrated, and instilled in our airmen through your 20-year career. I will do my best to at least be audible, but there's no promises. As I've discussed many times before with our mutual friend, Mike Manning, the first and only rule of public speaking is don't throw up. So that one I'll at least strive to meet. But I do want to start off by saying thank you to all those who worked so hard to make today possible. I know a lot of work goes into these events, and I want to say thank you for all you've done to help honor Josh. One of the reasons I was so nervous today about this event was thinking about how to tell Josh's story. How do you properly honor a person who has given their everything to the Air Force, given their all in service to their fellow airmen? I've been fortunate enough to witness this power firsthand and be on the receiving end of Josh's influence and contributions. We met just over a year ago through our mutual friend, Dr. Beloga, when I saw a picture posted on the HeroFront Instagram with Josh and her on TDY. I immediately texted her and told her she was famous. I had been following HeroFront for a couple of years at that point, and I was a big fan. I suggested that Dr. Beloga should be a guest on his show, and she had definitely countermoved and told Josh that I should be a guest. So I walked into that one. when Josh and I met to record our episode, we never actually met in person, but we ended up having an incredible conversation. And it felt like catching up with an old friend over a cup of Black Rifle coffee, my favorite coffee that tastes like freedom, camaraderie, deployment, and hunting terrorists. That is not a paid endorsement, but if anyone is watching for Black Rifle and wants to send some coffee my way, I'm not going to complain. Unbeknownst to me at the time, but Josh does not edit down any of his episodes. And we talked for 3.5 hours. So now I hold the record for the longest HeroFront interview, and he had to break that up into a 3-part episode, and it's still the only 3-parter for one person to date. But what was really incredible about that conversation, other than delicious Black Rifle coffee, was refinding my why. At the time, I was in the midst of some career challenges and barriers that had left me feeling defeated and lost. I'll tell you, if you want to stay mad and enjoy a nice pity party for yourself, recording an episode with Josh is not the way to do it. That conversation with Josh that day reminded me of my purpose and my passion for service. It relit the fire in me that had dwindled to just embers. And as I said in my episode, one of my favorite quotes is from Nietzsche, who once said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." And Josh, you gave me back that why to live for. See, that's the unique and incredible thing about Josh. It is a rare gift to invest so much in others, in highlighting, honoring, lifting others up, inspiring people, and telling their stories. So today I want to turn the tables on Josh and tell his story. He and I sat down to talk about his career and his life, and we topped our 3.5-hour conversation record and talked for 4.5 hours. I promise this speech won't be that long, but in fairness, I haven't timed it, so, if you need to take bathroom breaks, I will understand. But as we were sitting there talking, I was really struck by the journey of his life, the twists and turns, the ups and downs, and I suddenly realized I was listening to a superhero story. It was this incredible character arc, one of starting on a dark path, struggle, adversity, barriers, and ultimately redemption, achievement, and serving and often saving others. I heard how Josh started out as an average 19-year-old, newly enlisted airman, but over his career, through rough times, through a cast of characters who influenced his life, through many adventures, attained his powers, and how he had chosen his given path in life. So today, we're going to go through this epic story, and I'm here to share with you the hero's journey of Josh White. So any good hero story begins with an origin story. Josh grew up as a military brat with a long lineage of service in his family, all the way back to his great-grandfather, both grandfathers, his uncles, including Chief Master Sergeant Bob Bagstrom, who literally survived being attacked by a bear, Chief Bob's wife and Josh's aunt, Colonel Jamie Bagstrom, who is watching with us virtually today, and his dad, Major Bill White, who is here with us. And really, that's where it all started, at the Military Entrance Processing Station, or MEPS, sworn in by his dad, prior enlisted and retired Major Bill White. So Josh entered the Air Force, enlisting Open General. Dad. How'd you let that happen? The Open General means that the Air Force can assign you to any job they want. And it was while Josh was at basic training that the Air Force told him he was going to the world of aerospace ground equipment, or AGE. Yeah. Remember that. So as for where Josh would be first stationed, luckily in basic, he was a part of what was known as the Hawaiian Flight, with a lot of its members hailing from Hawaii, and told him he should put Guam at the top of his list. And so after basic training, he was off to tech school, where he met some of his best friends he'd made and some of the best people he'd ever known, including his best friend Ronnie, who, along with most of the people in his class, went off to Guam together. There, Josh managed WRM, and I had to ask him what that was. He told me it's war reserve material, or all the stuff that's not actually used. So DINSTAR, you mentioned, right, Josh? Have you guys heard of this? Danger is no stranger to an age ranger. You really earned that ranger cap there, huh? But also at Guam is when Josh, when he was not busy staring down danger on a daily basis, this is where Josh started his illustrious music career and started the band Faded Memories. Now, with a name like that, you might think that this is an 80s soft rock tribute band, but no, it is what is called a screamo band. And Josh was the lead singer. Along with his friends Ronnie, David Hernandez, Milhouse, and Jalapeno, they formed this band and practiced a lot. Unfortunately, they lived in the dorms. This is also where we start talking about some of the struggles in Josh's career. At Guam, the legal drinking age is 18 years old, and Josh started an unhealthy relationship with alcohol and going down that dark path that we mentioned earlier and getting into some trouble. And one such story involves this screamo band and drinking. Josh and his friends had just come off of a long exercise, working 12s, and the exercise lead said, "You get Friday off." Now, what he meant was you get Friday off from the exercise, not you don't have to go to work on Friday at all. So that night, Josh and his band start drinking and practicing and screamoing, and they were up all night until 2 a.m. Their neighbor repeatedly asked them many times to keep down and finally called security forces. Because remember, they lived in the dorms. So security forces master sergeant shows up, knocks on the door, everyone hides. Where are you hiding in the dorm? So everyone hides, and Josh answers the door. The master sergeant starts joking with them, laughing with them, everyone comes out of hiding, they're all laughing together, and suddenly the master sergeant says, "You guys are screwed. You know that, right?" And tells them that they need to report to their leadership in the morning in service dress. Well, Josh and his friends decided they're not in enough trouble, and so they keep drinking for a few more hours, and eventually all fall asleep. Morning rolls around, and they don't show for their leadership, who has to then send someone to their dorms. They pound at the door, no one's answering, they have to get the dorm manager to unlock their door. So needless to say, they're in a world of trouble. Understandably, their commander wanted to kick them all out of the Air Force, and would have, except for their first sergeant, Chief Master Sergeant Rosenborough. He stepped in because he saw something in Josh and his best friend Ronnie. He believed they needed the right mentor, the right guidance, and their career shouldn't end at this base with this mistake. And it's because of this first sergeant that Josh is here retiring after 20 years of service, and Ronnie did as well just a few months ago. And what Josh learned in that moment was paperwork's not always the right answer. Kicking someone out is not always the right answer. It's not the difficult or the brave thing to do. He learned that true leadership and skill lies in the person who can get through and turn someone around, turn their life around, and set them on a better path. And this first sergeant was the first step towards Josh starting on a better path. After a year and a half of wild times and trouble in Guam, Josh then headed off to Kadena Air Base in Japan, and that location presented even more challenges. This was the first time he was really by himself, and it felt like an entire other world. He was immediately put on 12s right away, immediately on long exercises, and he realized that this was a true test as the work never felt done. There was no finish line, and that was the pace the entire time. He started drinking and isolating more, but what got through was gaming. Josh got heavy into the world of Halo and was able to play online with his brother, his cousin, his friends from Guam, and feel connected and a sense of pride and the teamwork that he was missing. He became so good, he traveled all over the islands to tournaments and was even ranked a Halo 3 professional gamer and was ranked number 19 in the entire world. Josh actually had the idea to create Air Force Gaming, but sadly he was ahead of his time on that one. During all this time, Josh felt like he couldn't get a breath to think about anything except when he was playing Halo. He felt like his life was on pause, like he was in a time capsule and wasn't growing because he felt invisible and didn't have a mentor. But then he met now retired Master Sergeant Ben Lewis, who is here with us today. And Ben was the first supervisor Josh felt really cared about him. Ben was optimistic and made the team feel like they could complete the mission no matter what, and no matter what they put their minds to. He was always smiling, and you could tell he cared. He He would always ask everyone their goals, got to know them and who they were, and he showed what investing in people could do for you. That you matter and that spending time getting to know someone matters. Does that sound familiar? Josh attributes this example from Ben to beginning the spark that led to HeroFront and who he is now as a person who invests in others. He got his storytelling from his time in Age, sitting on 12s, where you get to know people so well by asking their stories, and it brought them closer together and got them through tough times. But times were about to get tougher for Josh. After Kadena, he was sent to Whiteman Air Force Base, and this was a big culture shock from Guam and Japan. At this point, he didn't know how to be a functioning person not in the dorms, find a house, set up a house, so his dad went with him to Whiteman to help him get started, and when his dad left, he was heartbroken. This was Josh's lowest point in his career. He had lost his Halo rank game because apparently you're not as good at video gaming when you get older. Don't tell my husband that. But Josh had to accept that gaming wasn't going to be something he could do forever, and he had to come up with a plan B and find other ways to cope. So Josh started drinking and isolating more. He knew 0 people. He was not familiar with the B2 mission and equipment, and he had to start over from a job knowledge standpoint as well. He was feeling useless, gained weight, was living an unhealthy life, was in debt, and was feeling like he had nothing going on for him. Every day felt like he was a failure. He had failed himself, and failed his family, and the shame was just unbearable. And from there, Josh started to not want to be alive, and then he almost wasn't. After 3 months of being at Whiteman, Josh had an adverse reaction to the flu mist. He went home to play online, took 1 sip of beer, and immediately felt like he was having a heart attack and going to die. And he thought everything had finally caught up to him. He called the nurse advice line, and they told him, go to the ER. So, like any responsible airman would do, instead of going to the ER, he went to go tell his boss he was going to the ER. But Josh did not make it there. He ended up collapsing on the stairs. And then the boss said, yeah, go to the ER. So Josh drove himself to the ER. I have a lot of questions about this chain of events. But he drove himself there, and they tested his heart and immediately sent him to Kansas City via ambulance. There he was diagnosed with myocarditis, and they told him there's no cure. Either you'll bounce back or it'll kill you. And he was only 23 years old. So the drinking, the depression, the long hours, the unhealthy life he had been living all added up, and he hadn't even realized just how unhealthy he was. So Dad flies out to be with Josh, stayed with him in the hospital, slept in the uncomfortable chair every night, and Josh said that it was his dad coming out to be with him that saved his life. Without his dad there, he knows that he would not have had the will to live. Josh realized this lowest point was proof that he was going to die if he didn't stop drinking, though he still did not stop. Before this, his destructive drinking was subconscious, but now he felt conscious of the damage he was doing. Even though Josh was now conscious of the self-sabotaging behavior, his redemption story really begins here. Because it was about this time, about 5 months after he got out of the hospital, that Josh reached his biggest turning point, and that's when he met Angie. So Whiteman is a small town where the biggest thing at the time they had going on was a Walmart and an Applebee's. And then they opened a new movie theater. Josh went to the grand opening, and there was Angie working at the concession stand. He was initially struck by her smile and loved that she was really silly and funny. And even better, she thought that he was really funny. Josh knew on that very first night that he was going to marry her. Josh sauntered up with his kilowatt smile and glorious glow and started flirting with her. But he played it super smooth and knew that he had asked her for her number right away that night. It wouldn't have worked, so he wanted to make a good impression first, and then just kept going back to the movies again and again and again. He finally did ask for her number. He was working 12s at the time where he didn't have a phone, which he has to thank for his relationship because he knows that otherwise he would have been blowing up her phone and scaring her away. So thankfully, Angie was not scared away, and they began dating. Shortly after meeting Angie, Josh went to Airman Leadership School, or ALS. There he was exposed to other career fields, other mindsets, and expanded his mind as to what all was out there. This was one of his favorite times, and he loved all the leadership stuff. He started believing maybe he could be worth a damn, and it was clear if he didn't respect himself, how would anyone respect him? About a year and a half later, Josh was in the final year of his original commitment and was eligible to retrain. He decided he wanted to go into public health, and he found what he was supposed to do. He liked that the profession helped people, and it was familiar from the troubleshooting that he had learned from age. Josh said that people in age equipment aren't all that different because both of them require troubleshooting, which I thought was pretty interesting. But public health, he got a lot more joy in helping people than he had known about or had seen before. So Josh went off to retrain, and he felt like he had his second chance. This is also when Josh won his first award in his career and earned top graduate at tech school. From Whiteman, Josh got orders to Luke Air Force Base, his first assignment in public health, and it felt like a quantum leap. He was suddenly a medic, had an office, was given a retraining bonus, so he was now out of debt and got a nice car and a luxury apartment, and this surpassed every expectation he had ever had for himself. And for the first time, he was really crying tears of joy, and for the first time, he didn't want to mess things up. And thankfully he didn't. Angie traveled out to Arizona with Josh to help him get settled up, and then drove back to Whiteman. That didn't last long. About 2 months is about how long that lasted, and then Angie moved out to Arizona. Josh knew from that moment that he wanted to propose because he had never had anyone willing to do that much for him before. And he saw how much she was willing to sacrifice and how committed she was to him. So about 4 months later, Josh proposed to her at the love sign in Scottsdale, Arizona. You can see in the middle of this picture is the love sign. In front of her parents, and then 3 days later, they got married in the Little White Wedding Chapel in Vegas. So career-wise, Josh was doing very well. He was selected for tech sergeant on his first time during a time when it was record hardest to make tech. And Josh found the motivation to make tech the first time, as many of us find motivation by seeing a bad leader and wanting to be better than them. He was sick of seeing a tech sergeant bully airmen and hold them back in their careers. And Josh thought, if I'm the same rank, I can take care of these airmen. And once Josh had made tech sergeant, he went to the mat for those airmen, wasting no time at all. This tech sergeant had reminded Josh of some of his past experiences, and Josh wanted to be, for these airmen, the leader that he had needed. Josh got to know the airmen, learned their stories, learned who they were, found out their goals and aspirations, and then worked to help them get it. And now one is a pararescuer, one is combat control, one became a senior operator or a sensor operator, and just recently commissioned as an officer. So towards the end of his time at Luke, Josh submitted his next assignment or base of preference and put, of all places, Whiteman Air Force Base. Now, I am from the great state of Missouri, and I love my home state, but when Josh told me that he volunteered to go back to Knob Noster, Missouri, I said, why? And what he said kind of floored me, because he said that he wanted to redo that chapter in his life. He wanted to redo the place where he was at his lowest and go back and face it and conquer it. Pretty much. But, sometimes we make plans and God laughs. More to follow on that. But Josh gets back to Whiteman. He's in public health for a year, and he loved it there. He has the best boss, Captain Vega. She had a master's degree in ballet, and her artistic side actually translated into being an incredible leader that people thrived under in a way that Josh hadn't seen before. He had everything he was looking for: amazing airmen, an amazing flight chief, and everything was great. And when things are great is usually when the Air Force decides that it's time for you to move on. And so Josh was then chosen to be the Med Group exec for Colonel Crystal Henderson. Just like with Angie, Colonel Henderson thought Josh was pretty funny. She also thought that he was a problem solver who always found a way. This was his first look behind the curtain of a leadership team, and he loved that they were really a family, with the exec, the squadron commanders, first shirt, secretaries, and all of this created by Colonel Henderson. She'd fight for her people, go out, and had a lot of courage leading. She'd asked for Josh's opinion, and it was just amazing to be asked, but really more so by an 06 and a colonel commander was really flooring to him. For her, Josh then went then the story turns, and Josh then goes to Honor Guard because he'd been doing such a great job for Colonel Henderson, and then the group chief, Chief Lida, wanted to set Josh up for success and gave him a pretty big challenge. He gave him a program that was failing, about to be closed, and the mission was about to be given to the Guard. He put Josh in a position to overhaul the program, and that was the Honor Guard program at Whiteman Air Force Base. So everything in his career had prepared him for this point in time. He now had the perspective of knowing what he wanted to do and not do. He had the courage from being an exec, the courage from knowing one person can make a difference, and the experience from age knowing that your investment in people is worth it. And the experience knowing what a great team looks like from being in public health at Whiteman. And Josh's leadership empowered him to make the right call. His team of Senior Master Sergeant Misty Marino and Nick Cunningham sat him down and gave him complete control over what he wanted to do and developed a plan. And Josh turned them into the best Honor Guard of the year. The Air Force even invited him to rewrite the AFI, or Air Force instruction, for the whole Honor Guard in the Air Force. And Josh, being the great leader he was, sent his now best friend, Jeremy Rutherford, because he knew that he was the best person for the job, who knew the Air Force Honor Guard AFI better than anyone else, memorized front to back. And in that, Josh learned that it's okay to be good at what you're good at, and for someone else to be good at their thing. It's not always easy to be okay with that, but that's what creates better teams and makes great leaders. And because he had such a great team of Senior Master Sergeant Marino and Lieutenant Colonel Cunningham, they started putting Josh and his team in for a bunch of awards. It was while he was at the Wing Awards for Supervisor of the Year that Josh made a huge turning point in his life. That night, Josh won his first award, and it was such an epic and phenomenal night. He achieved something that he had thought was impossible, and his leaders had more faith in him than he did. And then when everyone recognized what they had seen, it just solidified for him that he could, and he felt invincible. That night, they went out to Old Town Warrensburg, and he ended up ordering a water with lemon and decided not to get hammered as he had planned as his way to celebrate. Because the amount of love and happiness that he felt that night, it was the highest of highs, and he knew that if he had a drink, that would bring him down from that moment. And he realized that it was possible to have a happy life and not be drinking. And from that night on, he never had a drink again. Importance of awards, people. Josh also went on to be nominated for one of the 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year awards. He won at the Squadron, Group, Wing, 8th Air Force, and Major Command levels. When Lieutenant Colonel Cunningham called Josh to tell him the news, they were all in disbelief. He started crying tears of joy and immediately thought of his dad, because here's the cool point, and I'm going to cry through this whole thing. Josh's dad won a 12 Outstanding Airman of the Year award when he was enlisted and a tech sergeant. And here Josh was, a tech sergeant, winning the 12 Outstanding of the Year, Airman of the Year award. At that award ceremony, his dad was his guest, sitting next to him as he won the award. And Josh, at the time, had a 2-year-old at home, Summer. And when Josh's dad won his 12 OAY with a 2-year-old at home, Josh was that 2-year-old. And Josh said it was the proudest moment for both of them. As a 12 OAY MAGCOM winner, Josh was invited to the Air Force Association Conference, or AFA, and there he met Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force, Bass, who at the time was the 2nd Air Force Command Chief. And he had known her from Facebook and loved what she was doing, similar to Todd Simmons, who he also met there, and really loved what they had been doing on Facebook, and they were why Josh started highlighting airmen. He saw the positivity in it and started doing that for Honor Guard when he was at Whiteman, which is what led him to win this award and to that event. Josh and Chief Master Sergeant Bass talked all night. He heard all of her philosophies, her goals, all the stuff behind the scenes, and he had never met anyone who cared more about airmen than her. And it was this most inspirational night that he's ever had, and why he now does his podcast, because of this conversation. So Whiteman had been good to Josh the second time around. He had a wife, had done public health, had been an exec, had been honor guard. He had his daughter Summer, and then had his son Phoenix, or PK, which I think is super cool. At Josh's first base at Guam, his first commander there was named Colonel PK White, and he had an all-call at the base theater and was playing Metallica and running down the aisles and pumping everyone up, and Josh thought, that's the leader I want to be. And so Josh ended up naming his son after Colonel PK White, so now there's another PK White in the world. So he's at Whiteman, and he's doing great. Wonderful things are happening in his life, and as I said before, we make plans and God laughs. COVID happens, and he's a public health airman. So he ended up writing all the COVID ops for Honor Guard, and then was pulled back to public health. This was a huge shock to the system, because he had everything figured out in Honor Guard. It was a well-oiled machine. He had a great team, and then he gets back to the med group, and the schedule is all out, and there's tons of problems to fix. He did 3 months straight of 12s, no weekends. He had the on-call phone. He was taking calls all day and night. It was one of the biggest challenges he's ever had. But everything in his career had prepared him for this. Age had prepared him to be an exec. Exec had prepared him for Honor Guard. Honor Guard had prepared him for COVID. And so he's working along 3 months, 12s, no weekends, and then he PCSs to Eglin and takes over COVID ops here at Eglin Air Force Base. And this is where his podcast really came to life at Eglin during COVID. And it all stems from those talks that he had from age when he was in Honor Guard, and trying to find creative ways to highlight our airmen outside of like the coin or an award. But because he wasn't in Honor Guard anymore, he wanted to find a way to keep it going. So when he was in Honor Guard, the group that was the big group that performed at the big events that was out in front, they were called the HeroFront. And also finding your inner hero and bringing it to the front, and that was where he got the name HeroFront and started it at Eglin. Because when he was at Whiteman, the chaplaincy had a resilience podcast, and they had reached out to Josh. They had seen all the great things he was doing on their social media, and they wanted to collaborate. But unfortunately, they would only share those amazing podcasts on the Air Force Connect app, and the message just wasn't getting out to people. So they were trying to do something good, but they were being held back by some of the bureaucracy. So Josh decided to start this podcast, and started his very first episode. He got to Eglin in October, had his first episode with his dad on Christmas Day. And he just started out with basic equipment, how to start, the RSS feed, cover art, mic, computer, headphones, and it really just grew from there. And I think we've all seen the power of Josh's podcast. And I've been here talking to you all for some time now about how great Josh is. And now I'd like to address my comments to you, Josh. But I also knew I'd never be able to, and I'd be a total mess. So instead, I decided to enlist the help of some of my friends. Mike?
Josh, Brigadier General Jeff Gary here. Congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for your service. We're really grateful for you for everything you did for the Air Force and continue to do for our airmen. And you're telling people stories and championing the hero's journey for our airmen. Thanks for everything you do. Keep up the great work. Look forward to seeing you around.
Josh, hey, it's Colonel Derrick, Commander of the 1 South. Hey man, I just want to tell you congratulations on your retirement. But I really want to tell you thank you for being positive, leading a life of character, inspiring our airmen, inspiring the connectedness. I really appreciate everything you have done for our Air Force, for everybody here in the Panhandle. So keep doing what you're doing. You are inspiring the next generation. I'll tell you what, man, you inspired me to be a better person. appreciate you.
Josh, my brother, when I think of you, I think about going big. Whenever I'm around you, even if it's virtual, in person, or a conversation where you're not even in the room, what we talk about is your generosity, your availability, most importantly, your love of people.
Hey Josh, congratulations on your retirement. In all the time I've known you, I've been severely impressed by how dedicated you are to taking care of airmen. Heck, just taking care of people in general.
Josh, congratulations on an outstanding career. Your dedication over the past few years to the mission has really focused everyone that the people are our mission. Through HeroFront, you've made lasting impact on thousands of airmen's lives. By sharing certain stories, you fostered resiliency, built a strong sense of community, and really offered comfort and clarity to someone. HeroFront has become more than just a podcast, right? It's a lifeline that's helped airmen navigate tough times. Your work has strengthened the force, and that is a legacy you should be incredibly proud of. It has been an honor to work alongside you. Thank you for your service, and best of luck with the next chapter of your journey.
Congratulations, Josh, on retirement from the Air Force. You've given so much because you've led with such authenticity. I've known many a chief who retired with Master Sergeant stripes on their arms, and so I just want to say, you have been the most incredible leaders. I'm so grateful for the ways that you have helped me and so many other people in your career, whether it was through the med group or through your passion and your purpose with your platform. Truly honored and grateful to know you.
Hey, Josh White, Chip Chat and brother, you have taken time to breathe life into the Air Force message by the thousands of people that you come in contact with and the wonderful opportunities that you've given them to share their message, to include myself. Man, I can't thank you enough. I want you to know that I put a little extra gel in my hair because I wanted to channel my inner Josh White.
And I'm very proud of you. Chief and I, we knew that we saw some greatness in you. We wanted to make sure that we got you some opportunities to show others what we saw on a daily basis when you were my exec. So you're doing some great and wonderful things with your front, and I'm so proud of you with that.
Josh, congratulations on your retirement, brother. What I love about you the most is you've always stayed original and true to who you are. And, I think about the book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. We talk about the most important thing you can do in life, which is to find your purpose. What you've always done is a step above that, is you've been able to tell the story of those that are in search of their purpose.
I will tell you, the Air Force is a good one. And I've led hundreds and come in contact with thousands of senior SEALs. And I guarantee you, you're probably one of the best that I've come across. The human connection, who you are at the core, as a man, as a husband, as a father, just as a real honest and transparent human being. I tell you, that touched me. That made me, draw closer to you, not only as a fellow airman, but as a friend.
Hi, Josh. Congratulations on your retirement. Steve Jobs said it best when he said the most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation that is to come. Thank you for not only sharing your story, but in creating a space for others to share theirs. I promise you made a difference in the lives of more than you can ever imagine.
I've enjoyed my time serving with you. It was very much honored to serve beside you, to have an opportunity to lead you in some of the most darkest times that you and I both shared.
testament of who you are as a person, as a husband, as a father, and as a fellow brother in arms.
Thank you. Wholehearted thank you for helping our leaders document and tell their story. You have found a way to connect with not only the leaders around the Air Force, but and to tell their freaking story and do it in such an incredible way. And thank you for the blood, sweat, and tears that you have poured into others so that they can tell their stories for generations to come. We are better because you were here.
Josh, it's Sam Eckman here. I want to say your HeroFront Podcast has inspired so many people. It was such a privilege to get to know you and to be featured on an episode. I've been following everything and everyone you have interviewed since. Just want to extend my deep found appreciation for everything you've done, for serving our country, for all the stories that you have told, and I look forward to seeing everything you're going to accomplish in your next.
Greetings and aloha. Listen, I just want to take a few minutes, if I can, to just talk a little bit about you, Josh, to your friends and family who are with you, to just share a little bit about what I know about Josh White. And so if I can, I'll just share that it was several years ago where I had the opportunity to meet you for the first time and to sit with you at a dinner at AFA. What I learned in that very short time of spending time with you is that Josh White is somebody who cares deeply about his fellow airmen. And you took that opportunity to make sure that I knew your airmen. I got a chance to spend some time with them and to understand the good things that they're doing as well as the challenges that were happening. So that was that very brief encounter. Fast forward a few years later, and I get the chance to again spend some time seeing and watching Josh White, seeing you perform and execute some really amazing things at our Air Force Sergeants Association, seeing you use your gift and talents for both CAPSA as well as on your podcast and other ways to be able to share the words of the things that are going on within our United States Air Force and to communicate the messages of senior leaders using the platform that you have all for the sake of good. And so being able to watch you use your gifts and talents and always staying true to caring deeply about the United States Air Force and your fellow wingmen is something that I will forever remember about you, Josh White. And so I wish you all the very best and pass my best to your family. Congratulations on your retirement.
Hey Josh, it's Joey Gwendolyn's life here. We're just calling in to say congratulations on your upcoming retirement. We really enjoyed your podcast and especially appreciate the way you always shine a positive light on the people that you have on your show. It's been great for us and we're looking forward to seeing more. Congratulations again.
Best wishes on your next chapter. We look forward to many more podcasts in the future.
Hey, son, just a quick note from say how much we love you, we're thinking about you, and how proud we are of your accomplishments over your career. You have a way of making people around you better, and you and I have talked about this a lot, and you still do that. But the main difference now is that instead of talking to one or two or three or four people in your unit or squadron, you're talking to them on HeroFront. Now you have thousands of people that you're helping hopefully make better. And that's one of the things that makes the Air Force a great force, is that because people like you help make everyone else around them better.
Okay, so I may have lagged you all, and that may have actually taken 4.5 hours. Yes, ma'am, please.
I used to be executive director, and apparently that job never ends, because he just texted me a video that asked that I could share with you. So, here you go. That's from General Bolton, Chief Staff there. Former Chief Staff there.
only did take about 4.5 hours, but I'm not wearing a watch, so but really it takes some time to tell an epic story about that. And what I love about Josh's story is that it's this incredible character arc. It's not, came into the Air Force, things were easy, won everything forever, was the greatest airman of all time. You really went on a journey, and what I love most about it is not only did you go on a journey, but you then looked back to see who you could help and how you could make it better for other airmen. And I don't think there's any other accomplishment higher than that, is to make the Air Force a better place for your fellow airmen. And I don't think a single person can say that you didn't do that. So now the only thing left to do is to decorate you and retire you. So let's do it.
I'll use water. Thank you, ma'am. That was awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for 2 final presentations. Attention to orders. This is to certify that the Air and Space Commendation Medal, 3rd Oak Leaf Cluster, has been awarded to Master Sergeant Joshua D. White for outstanding achievement 1 November 2023 to 31 January 2024. Master Sergeant Joshua D. White distinguished himself by outstanding achievement as non-commissioned officer in charge, Drug Demand Reduction Program, 96 Test Wing, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. Sergeant White's adeptness and rapid learning significantly bolstered drug collection efforts, preventing potential program failure during a critical personnel turnover phase. Additionally, he collaborated closely with base leadership and 340 trusted agents, contributing to the successful oversight of the mission's scope and pace, encompassing 5,645 civilian members, military, and 2,659 civilian members. During this time, he directly ensured the testing of 1,978 military and 950 civilian members, and initiated 17 positive drug test notifications. Sergeant White was selected to reinvigorate outreach efforts through the use of social media in order to distribute informative messages regarding the drug demand program to the digital generation. Furthermore, through his collective efforts, he helped the unit secure the 34th Secretary of Defense Community Drug Awareness Award. The distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant White reflect credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing. The Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal recognizes those members of the military who perform substantial and sustained volunteer service to the civilian and military communities with significant contributions above and beyond the duties required as a member of the United States Armed Forces. Sergeant White has been recognized as one of those outstanding few. Attention to orders. Master Sergeant Joshua D. White provided outstanding volunteer service to the local and global community through his award-winning podcast, HeroFront, starting 24 December 2020. Sergeant White dedicated over 1,500 hours in producing and hosting the podcast, which features insightful interviews with inspiring authors, entrepreneurs, and fascinating veterans from around the globe. His passion for creating genuine human connections built on trust, transparency, and meaningful conversation earned him the prestigious title of 2022 Veteran Podcast of the Year. His innovative impact on promoting a more positive and connected Air Force culture has been unparalleled. Sergeant White was selected as one of the founding members of the Air Force Influencers Circle, a a Project Morpheus line of effort under the Air Force Chief of Staff Strategic Studies Group to connect senior leaders' strategic innovation perspective throughout the Air Force innovation ecosystem. His platform addressed critical topics such as veteran mental health, military career information, addiction, post-traumatic stress disorder, leadership philosophies, and survival stories, providing a platform for diverse and powerful voices to educate, empower, and inspire. His podcast has had a profound impact with over 120 interviews and 200,000 downloads in nearly 100 countries and an overall annual reach of 20 million online viewers. Among the notable guests featured on HeroFront are senior leaders such as the 21st Air Force Chief of Staff, General Retired David L. Goldfein, Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General James C. Slife, Retired Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Khalif O. Wright, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force, the Honorable Alex Wagner, and other distinguished military personnel. Sergeant White won the Warrior Medic Video Competition, showcasing our talented expeditionary medics, a video used by United States Air Force medical groups around the world. Additionally, his episodes and discussions are now an official part of the interim First Sergeant curriculum to better prepare soon-to-be leaders with real-world scenarios and examples discussed at length. Sergeant White's untiring leadership and sustained dedication to the community have made a positive impact. Along with the local community, these efforts have made him a true Air Force ambassador and helped to highlight his squadron, base, and the military in a positive light. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing. Major Hewlett will now officially retire Sergeant White from active duty.
You know what? I think I'm going to call an audible here.
What is that?
He gets to stay in?
From your lips to God's ears. But I thought, how fitting would it be that the person who brought you into the Air Force is the person who ushers you out?
All right. Publish the orders. Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force. Special Order Number Alpha Charlie-013450, dated 27th February 2024. Master Sergeant Joshua D. White, effective 31 January 2025. You are relieved from active duty, 96th Medical Group, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. Retired effective 1 February 2025, per Air Force Instruction 36-3203, in the grade of Master Sergeant, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force.
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Major Retired White will now present Sergeant White with his official retirement certificate. And it reads, to all who shall see these presents greeting, this is to certify that Master Sergeant Joshua D. White, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of February 2025. Signed, David W. Albin, General, United States Air Force Chief of Staff, and Jeffrey T. Garrity, Brigadier General, United States Air Force, Commander, 96th Test Wing. So I called my own audible because the script says Colonel, but I think I saw in the video that General already got promoted. Why are you sitting down?
I'm back.
Come on
This is
in.
the stand part. That's not like that.
They're seated. So thank you for that, man. That was an amazing surprise. At this time, Major Hewlett will present Sergeant White with the Presidential Certificate of Appreciation, which reads, Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America. Master Sergeant Joshua D. White, I extend my personal gratitude and a sincere appreciation of a grateful nation to you for your patriotic service to our country. Your bravery and dedication in our armed forces helped protect your fellow airmen Americans during a critical moment in our history and contributed to a world of greater security and growing prosperity. Your devotion to duty, honor, and country, in keeping with the long traditions of the finest military in the world, embodied the American ideal of selfless service. Our nation owes you an incredible debt. Your commitment and the example you set will inspire future generations to serve with pride and to keep our country secure. You represent the best of our nation. And I join our fellow Americans in saluting you for your honorable service. I wish you happiness and success in your next chapter. Signed, Joseph R. Biden, Jr., Commander-in-Chief. Next, Major Hewlett will present Sergeant White with a Certificate of Appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. We had a binder situation. It reads, I am proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. The achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well-deserved, but your selfless contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Signed, David A. Flosey, Chief Master Sergeant, United States Air Force, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. To accompany the retirement certificate is a time-honored tradition of pinning on the Air Force retired lapel pin. Angie, please come forward. Pretty briefly. This pin represents the contributions of over 20 years of service to our country. It is not gaudy because one serves not for recognition. A casual observer may not even notice it, but those with a keen eye will see the holidays spent alone on distant continents and the endless hours spent ensuring the readiness of our military might. Honing the skills and professionalism of fellow comrades. Sergeant White, when that keen-eyed person gives a knowing nod, feel as good about your choice to serve as we feel about you having served. Angie, time out. Angie, please remain up front with us for some special presentations. Honoring your significant contributions and sacrifices made in service to our nation and in support of Josh's military service. Ladies and gentlemen, Major Hewlett will now present Angie with the Certificate of Appreciation from the Air Force Chief of Staff, which reads, in grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Angela V. White for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Signed, David W. Alvin, General, United States Air Force, Chief of Staff, and Jeffrey T. Garrity, Brigadier General, United States Air Force, Commander, 96th Test Wing. Next, Major Hewlett will present Angie with a Certificate of Appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. And it reads, on behalf of all Air Force Airmen and their families, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force presents this Certificate of Appreciation to Angela V. White. I join your spouse, family, and friends in thanking you for the numerous contributions and sacrifices you made in support of our United States Air Force. Your dedication gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service in defense of our nation. Signed, David A. Flosey, Chief Master Sergeant, United States Air Force, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. this time, I'd like to invite Sergeant White's children, Summer and Phoenix, to the stage, or to the front. Major Hewlett will present them with certificates of appreciation. They read, "Today, after completing over 20 years of active Air Force service, your father has ended a career of honorable and faithful service to his country, and his efforts are sincerely appreciated. Such a rich and rewarding career reflects a strong commitment to the principles of freedom and democracy, and the belief that they must be upheld at any cost. That type of total commitment is not possible without the full support of the entire family. Although you may have never had to carry out a military order or deploy into a hostile environment, your loyalty and steadfast support of your father's career can rightly be viewed as service to your country. That loyalty and dedication were significant sources of strength for your father during arduous duty and exemplified the highest traditions of patriotism. On behalf of a grateful nation, the Department of the Air Force, and the entire staff of the 96th Medical Group, I extend to you sincere thanks and express our appreciation for a job well done. Signed, M. Bradley Bruff, Colonel, United States Air Force, Commander, 96th Medical Group." I'm not sure if we have this presentation. I'm going to read your personal thing. Sergeant White also wrote a very personal version of the Military Child Medal for Summer and Phoenix. "Throughout your life, you have made sacrifices and served our country in your own special way, right alongside me. Heavy burdens you never asked to carry were shouldered quietly. Often you couldn't understand why I wasn't there, but through your tears, you courageously put on a smile. You have always been, and always will be, the most important part of my life. Your love reassured me that what I was doing was important, and you gave me a sense of purpose I didn't know existed. As I missed holidays, birthdays, and countless special occasions, you were at home, worrying and wondering when I would be there to greet you at the door with a big hug. You had to say goodbye to family and friends and our first home when the Air Force told us it was time to move. Yet despite leaving the only life you had ever known, your resilience and ability to find joy in any situation gave me hope and reminded me of what's truly important in life. You are wise beyond your years. No words can express how incredibly proud I am of you. Your smile, your curiosity about the world, and your beautiful heart have reminded me of the true joy life can offer. Your love has been healing, and it was through your support that pushed me through the toughest times. I couldn't have completed my military career without your understanding, your encouragement, and most importantly, your unwavering love." You've been my rock, my inspiration, and my source of strength. On this special day, I want to honor you and acknowledge the incredible role you have played in my life. Unfaltering in your love and support, you have been my guiding light and my greatest blessing. You're not just a part of my military journey, but the heart of it, and for that I am eternally thankful. So a really cool thing that he did when he wrote that is he had the first letter of each line spell out thank you. Thank you, Summer. Thank you, Phoenix. At this time, Major Hewlett will present Sergeant White's parents with certificates of appreciation. So can I get Kathy? And the certificates read, "Today, after completing over 20 years of active Air Force service, your son has ended a career of honorable and faithful service to his country, and his efforts are sincerely appreciated. Such a rich and rewarding career reflects a strong commitment to the principles of freedom and democracy, and the belief that they must be upheld at any cost. That type of total commitment is not possible without the full support of the entire family. Although you may have never had to carry out a military order or deploy into a hostile environment, your loyalty and steadfast support of your son's career can rightly be viewed as service to your country. That loyalty and dedication were significant sources of strength for your son during arduous duty and exemplified the highest traditions of patriotism. On behalf of a grateful nation, the Department of the Air Force, and the entire staff of the 96th Medical Group, I extend to you sincere thanks and express our appreciation for a job well done. Signed, M. Bradley Ruff, Colonel, United States Air Force, Commander, 96 Medical Group. Thank you, family. I'd like to invite Staff Sergeant Mike Rosa to the stage. If you all would like to be seated tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. It is now time to present the flag of the United States of America to Sergeant White in a manner befitting the stature and significance of his service. Today's flag detail consists of Master Sergeant Jerry Tamayo and Senior Airman Retired Matty Cole. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. In 1776, Betsy Ross crafted the first American flag for a new country on the verge of declaring its independence. On June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress adopted Betsy Ross' flag as the national flag, declaring that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field, representing a new constellation. Between 1770 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor, while white signifies purity and innocence. And blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Ballamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. Propelled by the work of women like Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaugh, Mary Jackson, and Jeanette Sissom, and Margaret Hamilton, the American flag was flown into space in July 1969 when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on the constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans have been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinct fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for the freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and in skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we, as Americans, enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy, and as a beacon of hope to one another, long may it wave.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to introduce to you my friend and yours, Master Sergeant Joshua D. White, United States Air Force, retired!
Trees, y'all. I'm telling you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final episode of the HeroFront Podcast. While I'm still in active duty, thank you so much for joining us. And if my wife could kick me in the shin right now, she totally would, but luckily, she cannot reach me. So I asked ChatGPT for a retirement intro, something I could tell you guys because I was super nervous and dreading this for months on end. And this is what ChatGPT said I should say. Retirements are like the only funerals you get to attend where you can still hear the speeches about you. And thankfully, this time, you also get to enjoy the cake. That's spicy and I like it. But, this is my part. Unlike a funeral, retirement is when we rise from the ashes like the phoenix, stronger than ever, and we start our next chapter. So first I want to thank the ceremony POCs, Bill Franklin, Kate Hewlett, Zane Jimenez, Trey McGuire, Karen and Summer Hudson, Jonathan Holmes, Jerry Tomeo, Maddie Cole, Isaiah Hester, Sarah Hunter, Francis Mazzola, Molly Arroyo, Efren Ortiz, Freddie Velasquez, Stephen Denninger, Matthew Beasley, Ryan Cruz, Aaron Campbell, and the Emerald Coast Choir. I also want to thank my OMRS team sitting here in the front row, and Colonel Brett Link here, who had sent me. If you guys don't know, I had a lot of people say nice things about me, but don't get it twisted. If the squadron commander don't want you to go, you ain't going. You're just not. And so that wouldn't have been possible had it wouldn't be for Colonel Link's blessing for those TDYs, and so I can do my skill bridge. You set my family and I up for success, sir. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing that. So what comes to mind today? Gratitude, being thankful. Thankful for the friends and family that helped me get to the finish line. I was having a talk with my dad just yesterday, reflecting on my life, and I came to the conclusion that it 100% takes a village to cross the finish line of a military retirement. No one does it alone. So I'm going to go over who I'm thankful for and the lessons learned. And I'm going to start with one very important lesson, one my dad taught me so many years ago. It's that changing the world starts with a kick-ass haircut. And that has just touched my heart ever since. I also want to pass away. Just want to say their name, just so because I feel like they're here right now. They're with us. Dustin Pion, Taryn Otten, Jimmy Genus, Mrs. Bird, Mama and Papa White, Grandma and Grandpa Maxwell, Sherry Reffett, Uncle Tony, and of course, my dogs, my first children, Neo and Pebbles. And shout out to the military dogs, y'all. I mean, my God, we take them everywhere with us. They're loyal companions. They bring us so much joy. And we had ours, Angie and I, for 15 years. Those were our first children. And I just want to give a special shout out to Neo and Pebbles up in heaven right now. So my teams, we're going to go way back. Aerospace Ground Equipment. Chris Whitfield's here. What's up, man? So my podcast started way back in my time on 12s while stationed at Kadena, talking to guys like Chris Whitfield. I learned so much about his family and his love for music. You know, it was those experiences that started showing me the power of storytelling. It opened up my mind to truly what's out there. And then we have Benji Lewis. I speak a lot about Kadena being a breaking point for me, and I didn't have any mentors during that time, and I say that as a general blanket statement. However, the truth is I had a few exceptional people in my life during that time that really kept me afloat, and one of the really big ones was Benji Lewis. It was all doom and gloom on 12s and the never-ending exercises, the gas masks, all the above. It was always doom and gloom, and a leader really sets the pace. And when I met Benji, he came in there with a smile on his face, and he really wanted to know who we were. I thought he was playing a joke on me at first. I couldn't believe it was real. He's a real person. And I want to just tell you thank you, sir. I know that was a very small sliver in our life, but you came into my life when I really needed someone like you, someone that showed me what a good leader is, and that's you. So thank you for that, sir. Okay. Is Miss Patterson here? I don't think she can make it. Miss Patterson is like the public health mom. She's been my boss here at Eggman. She's been public health for her entire career, enlisted, officer, and now civilian. And I wanted to tell her thank you, too, from the bottom of my heart for basically being like a mother figure for us all. It's something we really needed. I got to end my career on a really cool note, a really cool high note, going to Israel. I got to go to Israel and do real medic stuff. And it was really special and really fun. And it's a time I'll never forget, and that's why I want to tell Dr. Sarah Beloga, sitting in the back there, I want to tell her thank you for showing me what a real medic is. I've never met anyone so dedicated and so intelligent and driven as you, ma'am. You really inspire me, and I want to thank you for that. And you also introduced me to Kate. Literally, this wouldn't be happening, none of this, if it wasn't for you. Thank you. I want to talk about DDR. Mike McClellan, is he here? Or did he not make it? He's doing drug tests. He probably couldn't make it. Mike let me put them in for this award. He gave me full creative control, and it won at the DOD level. I told him, put me in, coach, and he did. And damn it, we won. And I just want to tell him thank you, and really any leader thank you, that here's someone out with a crazy idea, because you know what, it just might work. So for any leader who acknowledges that type of airman, thank you. I'm currently on the kick-ass public affairs team, the best public affairs team here. And I want to tell Gabe Myers thank you. He runs the office because he had a similar upbringing as me, where he didn't have the best start at the Air Force, not a great treatment. And he said, "To hell with this," and he left. But he loved the Air Force so much, he came back as a civilian, and he's been sharing airman stories ever since. The person that we have working behind the scenes on this base. So thank you, Gabe. And thank you for letting me join your team. I'm going to talk about some friends. Zane Jimenez, who helped run this ceremony. Where are you at, Zane? There she is, right there. She's a single mom, y'all, and she inspires me every day with what she's able to accomplish in 24 hours. So thank you so much for taking this on and adding it to your plate. You are a kick-ass person. I see what you're worth, and I hope everyone else sees that too. Joshua Amoroso, where you at, man? There he is. Sorry about all the hair comments, by the way. I know that makes sense. I'm just kidding. You rock a beard way better than me, let's be real. But Josh, he's one of those people that really does care about other airmen, and he really goes out of his way to take care of people. Sometimes it's too good to be true, and you think there's no way this person can be real, but Josh, he really is that way. And I want to thank you for that, being my friend, man. You've been a great friend. Mike Rosa, who read the flag folding script. That was my airman in honor guard at Whiteman, and he's stationed here now. He also knows his friends of my parents, and he stayed with them when we went to AFA because he bought his ticket on his own dime because he wanted to see AFA that badly. And my parents housed an airman. It was really special. But Mike, you're a new dad now, and there's really no one I can think of that would be a better dad than you. Just what you embody as a man, as a friend. You are the reason we won the Program of the Year for Honor Guard. It was your idea of that video of our team all those years ago that led to all this. It was that. What was that?
You said I could do it though.
I did. You seem very determined. You convinced me. But you're just a cut above the rest, man. You're a very special guy, someone that I cherish greatly. So thank you for being my friend. Karen and Summer Hudson. They're sitting right over here. You see all this food? Y'all ain't leave until you get some of this food. Just so you know. But Karen and Summer Hudson, they put on all this food. And Karen, we were, destiny put us together. I helped you with your retirement. Now you clearly have helped me way more with mine. Thank you for that. My God, it's a beautiful spread. But Karen, you've been a huge blessing to me. You have an amazing family. Your daughter is just killing it. Your husband's the coolest guy ever. And I just want to thank you for being my friend and for believing in me. Where's Bill Franklin at? Is he behind me?
No, he left.
He left. Bill, get back here. Bill Franklin. I want to tell you about Bill Franklin, the narrator. You know, he looks like this professional narrator, like from ESPN or something. You're probably wondering who he is. He's a retired master sergeant who does this for free for airmen who ask. Not just airmen, I think just really any military member retiring. He even lets you pick his suit out. No kidding. I picked that out, what he's wearing. But the guy is phenomenal. He goes all over the world because he has all these flight miles racked up from his job at the airline, and he spends them on narrating airmen's retirements out of the kindness of his heart. Let's give him a round of applause for that. I had to give you that shout out, man. Where is Trey McGuire? My man right here, Trey. He runs everywarrior.org. This guy has dedicated his life to taking care of the same since I met you, my friend. You lead from the heart. You really, truly care about people. You've made my life instrumentally better, and I love you forever, brother. Thank you for everything. All right, now we're getting into the dicey stuff. Major Hewlett. I've said this plenty of times, but it never gets old. The day I met Kate Hewlett, my life has never been the same. You see, Major Hewlett has one fundamental quality as an airman that places her above 99% of others. She has a big heart. She cares. But when I say she cares, I mean she really cares. Major Hewlett is the friend we wish we all had in our darkest hour because she always shows up for the people she loves. She goes that extra mile. Major, you have positively changed so many lives, including mine. You see in people what they don't see in themselves. You have the gift of inspiring people into action, and that's why we love you so much. So thank you. I want to give a shout out to some family now. I told you it's getting dicey. For the folks that can't be here, my Uncle Bob and Aunt Jamie and Manny, they're probably watching from home. I love y'all. Thank you for showing me what an airman looks like. Dee, my stepsister, she's right here. This is an incredible leader. She's right under my nose the whole time. But Dee is one of the smartest, nicest, kindest people ever. When she's my big sister, she used to beat me up. That's cool. I probably deserved it. Even when she was shorter than me, she still could somehow hold me to the ground. But Dee, you taught me to respect my elders, and that if you work hard, anything is possible. I'm thankful to have a big sister who showed me what pursuing your purpose looks like, and you gave me the reality checks I needed to bring my ego back down to earth. You truly are a special person. You're built different, Dee, and I love you very much. Thank you. My stepmom, Kathy. You taught me what parenting is supposed to look like. I'm thankful that I had a stepmom who didn't give up on me even when I did my very best to try and make you leave. Even with all my flaws and mistakes, you never quit believing in me, and you always reminded me what my true potential was. You are not a stepmom in my mind. You are absolutely my mom. My sisters and I are eternally grateful for the love and patience you've blessed with us throughout our lives, so thank you, Kathy. My mom, Barbara, in the back. You taught me to never quit despite being given a difficult hand in life. Although you have been through a lot, you faced your demons and came out on the other side stronger, driven by your love for me and my brother Nathan. I'm thankful to have a parent who is also a best friend. Someone I could always confide in no matter how embarrassed or shameful I felt. And some of the best memories of my life are the summers that I spent in South Carolina with you, Alan, and me. So thank you for that. And Dad, as if we weren't, emotional already. You taught me how to be a man. And in turn, you taught me how to be an airman. You came from a trailer in West Virginia, became a senior master sergeant, a 12 Outstanding Airman of the Year, and ended as an officer and as a commander. You then did another 10 years as a GS civilian for good measure. My dad is my hero, my rock, and my best friend. When I was in the hospital with my heart virus and wanted to give up on myself, my dad dropped everything and slept in an uncomfortable hospital chair for a week straight while I recovered. His mere presence brought me back to life. He's been in my corner since day one and the only constant throughout my life. I know Superman is his favorite superhero, but Superman doesn't have shit on my dad. I I am convinced I have the best dad on planet Earth, and I am so blessed to have him as my guiding light. So I love you, Dad. PK, my boy. You know you're the only one with the last name White that's a boy. Like, he's going to carry on our last name. He's the last one. No pressure or anything. Summer, you're hyphenating your name. We'll talk about it later. PK, we almost lost you when you were born. It's a day that I'll never forget. The fear in the pit of my stomach, the unanswered questions, the silence in the room after you and your mother were rushed out to get a C-section. By the grace of God, you pulled through. The doctor said you were a fighter, and you are, and that's what I love so much about you. Not only are we lucky to have you, but so is the world, because you are destined for greatness. You have your mother's heart, which is so full of love and grit. Your fascination and love for life is inspiring to me, and I'm so blessed to be your daddy. Summer. The most beautiful, kind, and smart little girl on planet Earth. There is nothing that you can't achieve. I see your heart, your soul, and your drive to make a positive impact on this world. I see myself in you. It's why I have the tattoo of fire inside on my arm. You have that same fire. You are wise beyond your years. I can't wait to see the strong woman I know you'll become one day, and I'm so blessed to be your daddy. Angie. Just say that. Just say that.
Sing it.
There's a lot of good Angie songs, you're right. That's why I typed it out, y'all. I tell everyone who asks that seeing you was love at first sight. That night that I saw you working concessions at the movie theater in the little town of Warrensburg, Missouri. Your beauty, your smile, your silly humor was everything I had always searched for in life, and I found it in you. But it goes deeper than that. Angie, you saved my life. You gave me purpose and love that pulled me out of my own pit of despair and filled my heart with the love I didn't know existed. You gave me the courage to really live. You are my soulmate, my best friend, and the best mother our children could have ever asked for. You taught me how to love. My proudest achievement as I stand here today isn't all the cool Air Force shit that I've done over the past 20 years. But instead it's you and our two special babies. I hope you're ready for this next chapter because it's the start of our happily ever after. Something we worked our asses off for, and I'm so ready to dive right in. I love you, Angie. All right, final words, final thought. Before I go to final thought, I do have to give another shout out. There's this guy, that was my childhood best friend, who's now a helicopter pilot in the Army. Brent Bresnak, everyone, from Constitution Hills. Let's give him a round of applause. You have no idea. If they were here right now, my God. Okay. Adversity has been a common theme in my life. The first chapter of my career was plagued with adversity of myself, drinking daily and almost losing my life. The second chapter was self-discovery, growth, and opportunity, and I had found my purpose. The third chapter was true adversity, which is when the better you do something, the harder life becomes for you. But, this is the quote. This is my quote, y'all. I came up with one. Adversity is a blessing because it means you have found something worth fighting for. I stand by that. Nothing means more to me in my career than the blessing of the HeroFront Podcast. It's a culmination of every good and bad leader. My parents, my friends, family, times when I felt invincible, and the times where I felt like I could not possibly go on another day. A place where people are heard and seen, where the sky is the limit, and where genuine human connection changes lives. Through this process, I've seen miracles occur. Coincidences and blessings so obvious it's as if God himself is giving us a pat on the back. Not only has it blessed my life and so many others, it's now reflected in today's Air Force and others behind me like Create Force and the Mentor Shop. For those who tried to stop me, threatened me, who put me down, you only fanned the flame of purpose in my heart. And I'm proud to say there's an army of HeroFront airmen behind me. The floodgates have been opened, and nothing will stop the momentum of positivity that will impact all of our lives. We're just getting started. I'm going to end with this quote, because I know you're hungry, and so am I. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither knew victory nor defeat. Thank you, everybody. I love you.
I'm totally just cutting in line. Sorry. I told you I wanted to present something to you. You had me design your podcast. I remember it was New Year's Day, sitting in somewhere on vacation, and I was trying. Anyway, I took it. And
Oh my God. That's what I just read.
that was not planned.
I told you the miracles, y'all. Wow.
Not planned.
That is literally the quote from Theodore Roosevelt I just read. Dude, that's wild.
Sure.
Photo?
I have a picture, but I didn't.
I'd be honored if you presented it. So this is from my flight. This is from my flight, my squadron, my friends, my family, and everything special to me that was tangible. I'll be on the other side. I'll be on the other side. But as you can see, this thing is heavy. Wow.
I guess the singing moved left, right? I don't see it. Thank you. Turn white. Front center.
I'm not letting you get off. I told you.
So let's say a couple things first. Bill, if you can kind of grab that for me, it's over there in the moving blanket. But don't let him see it. First off, Tom, thank you. Thank you for raising such a great man. Josh has become a dear, dear friend to me over the last couple of years. We've spent many hours on the phone, especially over the last year, just talking through stuff, helping each other out. And so I wanted to find some way, and I kept this a secret from him, to capture everything that he has done, his years of service, his podcast, the lives that he's impacted, and of course, being one of the 12 outstanding, you probably have 20,000 coins. So I wanted to present to you about 3 weeks sitting in the workshop. I have been in contact with Bill, showing him all along the way. Oh my God, man. So, I wanted you to have a tangible reminder of all the lives, everything we've done over the course of your career.
This is beautiful, man. I love it, man. Thank you so much for this. Thank you.
Probably only about 50 of them.
So, for those who don't know, I narrated for that Josh, and I met this Josh in the barber shop before his ceremony, and I looked. I don't know why he's getting a haircut. His hair was already great, but I looked and I thought, you know what? He seems like he's the type of guy who just wants it perfect for a fellow friend. I assumed that they were friends and I was right, and so just based on me doing the job I did for him, he asked me to do this, and I'm sorry that my jet lag, a little tongue-tied here and there, but I hope you live up to your invitation of letting me be a guest on your podcast.
Absolutely. You're a true gem.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please stand for the singing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come.